I mean, it is absolutely wild, man. We're less than 100 days until the presidential election, and the liberal corporate media, they're hanging on by a thread emotionally, man. I mean, Donald Trump has broken most of these people's brains over the course of the last decade, and they are absolutely cooked. I mean, these people, if you believe them, they really do believe that Donald Trump is afraid to debate Kamala Harris. And it sounds like they believe that she'll actually beat him when they do finally debate. I mean, this is likely going to be probably the best example of be careful what you wish for in all of human history.
I would like him to say that to her face, right? But he won't because he's a little punk, right? And that's what you have to always remember about Donald Trump. He's a scared little punk. Because the thing you would do if you were a big, strong man who likes to beat on people, right, is that you debate whoever the Democrats put up. They want to put up Harris, we'll debate Harris. They want to put up Biden, you'll debate Biden. They want to put up, the dog from Chuck E. Cheese, you debate the dog from Chuck E. Cheese, right? That's what a big, strong man does. But Donald Trump is not a big, strong man. Donald Trump is a weak man's idea of a strong man, and that is why when faced with a person who can bring the case to him in a way that he's never heard it before, he's trying to backpedal away.
Yeah, so CNN, the most trusted name in news, reports that Donald Trump is just a punk, all in some weird copium-infected live on TV mental breakdown, right? This is what happens when the average internet-infected trolls are literally allowed on live TV. I mean, these people have convinced themselves that Donald Trump is afraid to debate the most far-left, most insane candidate in all of modern history, right? Now, obviously, that's not the case at all. And Trump campaign manager Jason Miller, he went on MSNBC and set him straight, man. And even MSNBC has a hard time battling actual reason and logic in real time.
But first, I'm joined by Jason Miller, senior advisor to the Trump campaign. Thanks for coming on the show. You had a plan against Joe Biden. You were confident you could beat him. So how has your strategy changed? And do you think the map has changed?
Well, the strategy fundamentally doesn't change. We're running on a very direct strategy of making sure that we're going to lower costs for Americans and also make our country safer by securing the border. And as we start heading into the return of kids going back to school and parents are having to spend more money on things such as new school clothes and new expenses, and people are reminded again how much more expensive things are under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that's another thing that we think will bring that front and center. Because keep in mind, yes, the Democrats have a new person at the top of the ticket with Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris still very much owns all of the entire Joe Biden record. Plus, Kamala Harris has her own more left of center, as I would even say, radically liberal record herself.
So let me just respond to a couple of those things. As you know, in the first couple of years of the Biden presidency, they kept 2.8 million migrants out, which is why the number of deportations is down, because if people never come in, you can't deport them. A rate cut. Big headline in the Wall Street Journal, finally in view. We know that the prices have been moderating of groceries. But it's not for us to debate that. It's for the candidates to debate that.
What a great example of who these people actually are. I mean, she starts her comments by saying, let me respond to that, and then just rambles a bunch of nonsense. She said that in the first 2 years, Kamala kept out 2.8 million migrants. I'm not sure even what she's referencing. I'm not sure what she means, but what about the 10 million plus that actually got in, that were let in? I mean, she said the numbers of deportations are down because her logic says if people don't come in, then you can't deport them. But then she says, but this isn't for us to debate. That's for the candidates. But that's exactly the role the mainstream media is playing. I mean, they are the mis and disinformation wing of the Harris campaign right now, and it's freaking embarrassing.
You have said or said in the past that Donald Trump would debate. Is that still good?
Absolutely. We think that Democrats need to pick who their ultimate nominee is going to be. That needs to be formalized before we go and lock in all the debates.
Well, come on, you agreed to this before your nominee was formalized.
But hold on. But we need to make sure that Democrats actually go through and lock in Kamala Harris. It was only a month ago, Chris, that many Democrats who wanted to throw Joe Biden overboard were saying we need to go to this mini primary. We need to go with somebody else other than Kamala Harris. It's only been in this past week that there's been any sort of effort to rally around Kamala Harris. The exact same people, in fact, who were saying that Joe Biden was okay are the same people that are saying now we have to get behind Harris.
But it was only in the last week she had the number of delegates to secure the nomination.
But hold on. 14 million Democrats voted for Joe Biden in this primary system. And now all of those voters are being
so
told
will
that
Donald
that's
Trump debate
invalidated.
Kamala Harris?
Oh, of course we're going to debate the Democrat nominee if that's Kamala Harris. Once she goes through, that becomes formalized. I believe the date they're looking at is August 7th, then of course. But Chris, I got to go back to one thing you said for a moment when you're talking about the rate of inflation. The fact of the matter is everything is still getting much more expensive. We're at about 20% cumulative inflation right now. Energy costs are up about 50%. As we've seen from reporting in the New York Post and other places, mortgages are up 90%. Chris, people are being crushed all around the country. It's not going down. Things are still getting more expensive, maybe just slightly less fast.
Here's what these people are actually pushing for. They really expect that Donald Trump would debate Kamala Harris with the previously agreed upon the Joe Biden rules, right? Special debate rules were agreed to for a cognitively struggling Joe Biden. You know, there was no live studio audience because they thought that that would affect his concentration. And of course it would. There were special microphones, you know, they would turn off because they thought any interruption would actually cause some sort of brain malfunction, and it would. Kamala's trying to use those same rules, and she's trying to debate literally before the convention, before she secures the nomination, which really she shouldn't want. I mean, they made Joe Biden debate earlier than any other candidate in history because it was an audition, right? Once he failed, obviously failed, they got rid of him. And if I were Kamala, man, I would not want to be doing any auditions until you have all that paperwork signed at the DNC. And that's really the point here. You know, the Trump team, they want to make sure that she's the nominee. And the facts are the only people that have really spoken in favor of her nomination are the media and powerful Democrats. This whole entire thing makes complete sense to wait. Because really, when you break it down, man, who knows how many coups the Democrats are really capable of?
Every day we're opening up the newspapers or turning on the television and seeing these horror stories like the murder of Laken Riley or Rachel Morin or Jocelyn Nungry. And these are the types of things that voters are looking at. They're saying which of these candidates can actually go and turn the country around. Only a few short years ago, President Trump had us at this fantastic economy. But then now, under the Biden-Harris administration, we've seen effectively what amounts to a $28,000 household tax increase. That's effectively what it is with the inflation going up. People want a different direction. That's what we're going to do with President Trump and Senator Vance.
So what we have seen is that the polls have tightened. The fundraising has tightened. So what is your proof that that statement is true? If anything seems to be true, is that is a tougher race for Donald Trump than it was just a week ago?
Actually, I disagree with that as well. I mean, what we've seen is Kamala Harris is
You don't buy the polls, or do you have different internal polls?
But hold on. But President Trump is still leading, whether it be nationally, whether it be in the battlegrounds.
Within the margin of error.
Joe Biden, some of those, but still
and by
leading.
less than he was with Joe Biden on the ticket.
You look at 8 years ago. But hold on. But you look at where President Trump is. President Trump is still the front runner in this race. The one other bit of caution I'd offer, Chris, is that Democrats really need to worry about buyer's remorse. Keep in mind, in 2019, Kamala Harris never actually even made it to the starting gates in Iowa. Going back, as I said a moment ago, going back 4 weeks, Democrats were not rallying around Kamala Harris because a lot of people did not think that she could actually carry the ticket. With President Trump, we have someone where we've seen the success of the economy so recently that people realize we can get that back. All we have to do is get the energy production going, stop with the stimulus spending that artificially juices up inflation, make some smart monetary policy moves. We can get that back in such a short order, and that's what we want to deliver for people. So I would really caution Democrats. They might have some buyer's remorse, but if they want to change in direction, if they want things to become cheaper, they want their lives to become more affordable, that's what President Trump is running on.
Jason Miller, it's good of you to come on the program.
That's actually a great job, man. I mean, just think about what that guy just said to the viewer victims that are watching MSNBC. He just told them, you are going to have buyer's remorse. Don't forget, The last time the woman ran for anything on her own at all, it was the most epic failure possible. I mean, if you want a more comfortable, more manageable life, this is what Donald Trump is running on. If you want more inflation, more despair, more deaths along the southern border, then you got a candidate for that too, right? I mean, that was a great job. This guy did a great job. I haven't seen much of Jason Miller, but that's how it's done, man. I mean, just fight through the noise, deliver the message, and he made some really, really strong, really great points. You know, the media can claim that Kamala had the delegates all they want, right? But Joe Biden had the delegates too, and he was forced to drop out, which is the same thing that Kamala Harris did the last time she ran. She didn't make it to Iowa after polling something like 6% in her own home state, which is just, I mean, that's embarrassing. That's crazy stuff. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.